Call the February 5th Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. I have to start with invocation. Jackson?
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Jackson Lawmeyer, and I'm the lead pastor of Sheridan Church. We just planted our second campus here in Broken Arrow, so it's a real honor to be able to join you and to pray. So if you will, go ahead and bow your heads and join me in prayer. Father, we thank you so much for all that you do to us, through us, and for us. And God, we thank you for the city of Broken Arrow. We ask that you would give wisdom to our leaders, that you'd give wisdom and guidance to our mayor, city council members, and our representatives. Creative and innovative ideas that Broken Arrow will not just barely survive, but Broken Arrow will thrive in every single area. God, we thank you that the best days of this city are not behind us, but the best days are right in front of us. We pray all of these things in your name, in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And everybody said, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Wimpy. Parks.
Here.
Lester.
Here.
Udi.
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Item L has been requested to be removed for discussion. Are there any other items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda excluding item L. Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Item L.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of Council, good evening. Before you tonight is consideration of the award to the lowest responsible bid to Cherokee Pride Construction for some work that's being done around the Aspen Pond, West Boston Court drainage improvements. The amount is $78,704. I asked that this be pulled because I wanted to publicly thank Mr. Schwab's team, as well as the member of Alex Mills Engineering, Jeff Bigby, and others, because this has been an ongoing issue that's been around, and the residents have come to us and expressed the concerns, and we moved very quickly. And if you read the background, what I'm most proud of is the fact that the City of Broken Arrow Engineering Construction Department personnel designed and produced construction plans for the bid. So this was done in-house, and that's what we're looking for, is that type of innovativeness, to be able to be comprehensive and have specifications that work in-house to basically save us money. But this was really just to call out and thank the residents for bringing this to our attention, and then for our team working so quickly to come up with a solution. And I would recommend approval of the bid that's before you this evening.
It is noteworthy. It was $11,000 from the engineer's estimate.
That is good.
I make a motion to approve and authorize the execution of a license agreement with Fairway Park Homeowners Association. Is that not what we're doing?
No,
Yes.
it's L.
Oh, well, sorry.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to award the lowest responsible bid to Cherokee Pride Construction and approve and authorize execution of a construction contract for the Aspen Pond, West Boston Court drainage improvements.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Udi.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item 7, public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. Presentation of financial statement for second quarter of fiscal year 2019 general fund. Cindy.
Hi, Cindy Arnold, Finance Director. I'm just going to, there's a lot of information in your packet, but I'm just going to do some quick highlights for you tonight. On the general fund, the total revenues through 12/30 was $30,580,000, with expenses about $29.5 million. Our net income was $925,000. But actually, when it comes to the budget versus actual, we were actually up to about $1.4 million, because the actual budget numbers for December 31st showed a negative of $466,000. And that's because of timing, 3 payrolls, and the longevity was paid out in December. Transfers to the public safety funds were a little over $20 million. These are some, I just wanted to, real quick, some of the top revenues, the sales tax, use tax, franchise tax, charges for surgery, services, and court fines. These are the top 5 revenues. And sales tax, including sales tax, is 68% of the general fund revenue. So, as you see, our sales tax is strong. Our use tax has been coming in pretty well. Charges for services, Life Ride seems to be down a little bit for the first 6 months, and the court fines are running about what expected. General fund, revenues are coming in strong. We're at 52.18 of the budget amount, and expenditures at 44%. As everybody knows, we rely mostly on sales tax, and the five top sectors make up for almost 92%, and that's retail, trade, accommodation, and food service, which is the 2 biggest ones. So it's very important to remember to shop Broken Arrow. On the police sales tax fund, the total revenues were $11.5 million, with expenditures a little over 10. Net income was $1.5 million. Capital expenditures were $183,000, or 22% of the budget. Fire sales tax, total revenue is $10,756,000, with expenditures of a little over 10. Our net income was $730,000. Capital expenditures was $156,904, or 33% of the capital budget. Capital sales tax improvement fund, our revenues are $3.7 million, with our expenditures of $3.8. It's just really a timing issue. We paid our debt service. So for the net income was a little below, it was 116 in the negative, but that's been caught up. On BAMA, total revenues were $24,833,000. Total expenses was almost 24, with a net income of $1 million. Revenue is actually down from charges to services, water service. They're down almost $750,000, but the expenses came in about $2 million under budget at this time. So they ended up with a strong quarter. And just for a little tidbit, I like to give information. We processed over 21,000 invoices of a total of $58 million in the first 6 months. So I know this is just a sky overview, but there's a lot more information in the packet, but I didn't think we needed to go over every line item. So, any questions?
Good job. Any questions of Cindy?
So our sales tax, are they, I don't see them exploding, but are they remaining pretty steady?
Our sales tax are coming in the first 6 months, we're $1 million over what we projected.
Very good.
And we haven't gotten the heavy months. The heavy months with the holidays is usually January and February checks, which were very good.
Excellent.
So we're doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, nice work, thank you.
Just a real quick comment is that Cindy's team has begun the process of putting together the meetings for the FY 2020. Kind of hard to believe for saying that. In a budget, we had a overview of the STCI for next year. Last Friday, we spent about 4 hours finalizing the proposed STCI budget, so we're now moving on to the operations, and we'll be looking forward to meeting with the council and reviewing the proposed budget sometime in May.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 7B, public hearing on rezoning for BAZ 1986 Planning and Development Number 266 was proposed for a 320 unit multifamily apartment known as Centennial Crossing has been rescheduled for Thursday, February 7th at 6:30. Now Trevor's name. Trevor, you have anything you need to say on this, or?
No, proper notices have already been sent out, and the agenda has been posted for that item.
Okay, so if anyone came to hear that item, it'll be heard on Thursday when we have a full council here. Item number 8 is next. Citizens' opportunity to address the council on general topics of business. We have Richard Pisaturo is here to speak to us. So, Richard?
Remember how to say it, huh?
I did. I should figure it out one of these days after so many times, but glad to see you here.
It's been a long time. Name is Richard Pisatoro. I live at 2608 South Gardenia Place. Quick question about the bond issue that we passed to repair the roads. Now, in Wolf Creek, I noticed that we're doing the ramps on the corners. Now, is that money coming out of that bond issue, or is there federal money involved?
It's all general obligation bond money.
Okay, now, I also noticed we're fixing private sidewalks, and I thought that was the homeowner's responsibility.
Sidewalks are actually in the right-of-way. There are no private sidewalks unless we're fixing something.
But they're in
On the
front of
pro-
my house. According to the city, I looked it up, the homeowner's responsible.
You're responsible for the maintenance, but 12 feet behind the curb is public right-of-way, dedicated to the city. But sidewalks and that grass that's put in there, you're responsible for mowing and maintaining those sidewalks. And Alex, I guess, will address that.
But if the sidewalk is damaged, who's responsible for repairing it?
Alex, you want to address these?
Yes, sir. He is correct in that generally the ordinance does require the maintenance of the sidewalk to be the responsibility of the homeowner. However, when we go in and do a road rehabilitation, we trigger certain requirements from an ADA standpoint, and we're required to fix those sidewalks as we go. So this is where an exception to that general rule. And so where we had areas that were not compliant with ADA, we fixed those as part of this project.
And that's a federal obligation under the
That is a
Americans with
federal law, yes,
Disabilities
sir.
Act.
So you'll install the handicap ramps, truncated domes, whatever has to be.
That's correct.
upgraded. Okay.
Yes.
So my concern is, are we going to run out of money with all the sidewalks they're repairing? Was that taken into consideration when we?
Hang on.
Okay, thank you.
No, we're under budget on that project.
Okay.
We're doing well.
That's
That-
part.
that was
would
my
be
main
part of the
concern.
planning process, wouldn't it?
Pardon
That
me?
would be part of the planning process.
Yes,
for that.
when we scoped that project, we knew we had some of those responsibilities as part of that project.
Very good. Just one last thing. I passed where the old alleged casino was supposed to be there, and there's activity going on. Does anybody know what's going on out there?
No, it's creek land.
Yeah.
Okay.
All I ever see are
Michael?
I received an email from Chase Elkins today asking about the same thing. I haven't had a chance to check into it, but I believe that the buildings that were constructed are in the process of being taken down. But I haven't been able to verify that yet.
I drove by on my way to an appointment this afternoon. It looks like they're dismantling that canopy
Okay,
entryway.
all I saw was, I only was a brief, as I went, oh, no, after the battle we had a few years ago, I don't want anybody
No.
trying to sneak on the back.
It's a good thing it's going away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before Rich sits down, I would just like to mention to the council that you've asked the administration to focus on connectivity. And we heard from a lot of folks in our surveys, and in the general bond obligation included a couple $1 million for some connectivity, and there is a plan. So we do need to have a discussion about the maintenance of some sidewalks in the community, because we're going to be running up against some issues that I'm reminded daily by Kenny and Alex, because I think the city needs to go in and take care of sidewalks. And so I'm going to have to get some direction from the council probably later this year if we're going to accomplish this plan to improve the walkability within our city. So I would like to have that discussion. So it's perfect timing to bring that up.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Next item is 9A, General Council Business, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute a waiver of conflict of interest between donor Sanders, Daniel, and Anderson. Trevor?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As Council is aware, the City of Broken Arrow is currently involved in litigation against manufacturers, distributors, as well as some doctors with the opioid epidemic that's ravaging the country and also Oklahoma. Several hundred cities have been involved in those litigations. We had a request from a law firm of Durner Saunders, who does other work for the City of Broken Arrow unrelated to this specific litigation, and they represent one of the defendants. We named 37 defendants. This defendant that they represent is McKesson Corporation, and Durner Sanders has requested that we waive any conflict that they may have as a firm to represent a defendant that we've sued. Again, the services that Durner Saunders provides to us is unrelated to the opioid case. We've done this in the past. They institute what's called a great wall between the lawyers inside the firms. These are large downtown firms in Tulsa. So I'm confident that they'll respect that confidentiality. And so as a result, I recommend that you approve and authorize the execution of the waiver of conflict of interest, allowing Durner Saunders to represent McKesson Corporation in the opioid lawsuit that the city has filed. happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Trevor?
I'd make a motion, we approve and authorize execution of the waiver of conflict of interest.
Second.
I have a motion, second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to execute an amendment of capital improvements agreement of the Broken Arrow Rose District Street Improvement Project between the Board of County Commissioners Tulsa and the City of Broken Arrow. Trevor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Back in August of 2017, the city had submitted an application to the Tulsa County Vision Authority to receive $1.5 million of funds for the Vision 2025 Surplus Fund. This project was basically a streetscape improvement project from Detroit to Elgin, and the Vision Authority approved the city's application back in September of 2017. In November of 2017, the city had entered into its capital improvement agreement, which is attached. The agreement provided that advances to the city would cease after November 30th, and that the construction would be complete on or before November 30th, 2018. Basically, we just need a little bit more time, and so the proposed amendment extends the deadlines to July 31st of 2020. Staff recommends the amendment to the capital improvement agreement for the Broken Arrow Rose District Street Improvement Project, and that you authorize staff to execute the same.
Let me just add, if I can, Mayor and members of council, I've been keeping you posted on the Milestone project until construction started. And at that time, I just wanted to remind the council that Mr. Schwab and Mr. Mills have recommended that we not go in and do any streetscape work until such time that Milestone gets to a certain point in their construction. So we're not getting each other's way, number one. And secondly is that it'll reduce the amount of potential for any damages to our improvements. And that's probably not going to get started until later this year. And so therefore it's a need to grant the extension, but just a reiteration to the council that we're still rocking and rolling, moving forward, but it's about a timing issue right now.
Well, and the point of the extension is to make sure we can still have access
Yes.
to the funds to do the improvements, correct?
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve the amendment to the capital improvements agreement for the Broken Arrow Rose District Improvement Project and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion, second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to execute Resolution 1178. Alex?
Good evening. Alex Mills, Engineering and Construction Director. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. You have before you tonight a request that we're making to allow us to submit our next STB application, which is fiscal year 2022. And what we'd like to do is submit that for Elm Place from Kenosha up to State Highway 51. That is one of our 2018 GO bond projects, and we have $6.4 million for that project allotted in the GO bond. We think this one will score very highly, but I think the more interesting part, and I have a graphic up here for your review, and I hope you can read it. I think everyone who drives in Broken Arrow recognizes that what we call the 9th Street corridor, basically from Kenosha north up to the shopping center up there, and then the Elm Street corridor are both becoming very heavily trafficked, and even during the middle of the day, it's problematic to get through those areas. And so what we're hoping is by applying for an STB grant for the Elm corridor, that we can leverage that with some potential federal funding to look at a larger solution for both those corridors. We've had exploratory meetings with both NCOG and ODOT, and both are supportive of that endeavor. Those of you who have been over to Norman or Springfield or Northwest Arkansas, you may have seen what they call diverging diamond interchanges and spooey interchanges. Something like that for this type of area might be a solution that will help garner us some relief from that traffic that's only going to continue to get worse. So I don't want to bog down the core request is to go ahead and submit for this STP application, but I also wanted to let the council know that we are looking at those longer term plans and hoping that a potential award here might help us leverage our dollars as matches for larger federal funding. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Not a question, but just a comment. The bottleneck of those two areas you just mentioned, one of the biggest complaints, at least that I get you know, for the city, especially the one on 9th Street. You know, everything's pretty new, but still yet it backs up so badly. I know we're talking about Elm Place. I put my glasses on now so I can see. I had eye surgery, but I haven't got the new glasses yet. But anyway, I know we're not talking about 9th Street, but you did mention it. But, you know, that's a pretty new intersection through there.
They are, and the type of improvements we're talking about would take planning and financing that would take many years to implement. And so, although these are new improvements, by the time we got around to building some of these proposed potential improvements, they wouldn't be quite so new. But for stuff of that size, we really have to start planning now. And you're right, I hear about it constantly from friends and coworkers, just not happy about the traffic situation through there.
Well, and as we grow, it's not going to get any better. So
Oh, gosh, no, it's going to get worse.
Any idea timeline, worst case to best case?
Well, the funding for this STP application technically would be fiscal year 2022. If we decide to move quicker on the GO bond and can get the plans done soon, that funding can get advanced. So we could be working on the Elm project very soon. But in terms of the interchanges, we're not currently on ODOT's 8-year plan. We're trying to squeeze our way in there, and this is part of the conversation. So I would think we'd be talking 8, 9, 10 years out before, you know, unless something like a build grant perhaps or something like that came through, before we'd really start seeing these improvements. So it's critical we start planning now, or we're going to be in tough shape.
Make a motion to approve the resolution 1178 and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Thank you.
And on that one, we do need to apply for some bill grants or cut off against July of this year, so we need to be ready.
Yes, sir.
Item 9D, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to execute agreement for professional consultant service with Chase Fetters Hewitt. Alex?
Yes, sir. As you know, we engaged Chase Fetters Hewitt a while back to do a concept layout for a VFW hall. Subsequently, it seemed prudent to involve other armed forces, veterans, groups in that sort of endeavor, but we do have a concept with them, and so this is the 2018 GO bond project, and we've negotiated with them to design what we're calling the Armed Forces Meeting Hall, which would be an inclusive of all those. Now, we are a little ahead of the game on this in that we don't have property yet. We're working on that endeavor, but this will allow us to get them under contract and probably have some of the first meetings to at least talk about scope and needs of all these different groups, because it's going to be more complex since there's so many groups at the table. So, but we've negotiated with them and have what we think is a fair fee, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
This cost estimate is for geotechnical as well, once you get to that point.
Yes, this will include everything.
You know, that was one of the questions I was going to have. We don't have the exact location. We know the general proximity.
Correct.
But we really don't have that land or lot that we're looking at to put this on. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're trying.
You don't foresee that impacting the cost of this item at all?
No, because, I mean, their cost is driven around the size of the building and that sort of thing. So as long as it's not some sort of piece of property that has highly problematic geotechnical or site constraints, I wouldn't foresee an issue. But again, we're going to engage them, but we're not going to move very far on this endeavor until we get the property acquired.
Just want to make a public note that we do have, as Alex mentioned, we have all of the organizations that the council made very clear that this is going to be the use agreement that will be between the entity that either has or will be created for the operations of the building. They're all participating in this, and they're very excited about moving this project forward.
Good.
I guess I'd make a motion to approve and authorize the execution of the agreement for professional consultant services with Chase Fetters Hewitt Architects.
Second.
First and second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9E, consideration, discussion, and possible approval and authorization to execute agreement for professional consultant service with Seltzer Shaver Architects for the design and construction documents for the Center for the Arts. Alex?
Yes, sir. Well, you said it. This is for the agreement. We had Seltzer Schaefer do a concept design that was vetted through the various role stakeholders in that process. That was approved. Now that other funding sources have been found for operational costs, we've been green-lighted to move forward. We've negotiated a contract with Seltzer Schaefer. We're excited to get this started. I think the design's going to be fairly lengthy. We have 9 months in the contract, so, but in this case, there is nothing holding us up from getting started for the design, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Alex?
Make a motion to approve and authorize the execution of the agreement for professional consultant services with Seltzer Schaefer Architects for design and construction documents preparation for the Center of Arts, Innovation, and Creativity.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9F, consideration, discussion, and possible award of the lowest responsible bid to H&G paving contractors. Alex?
Yeah, I'll be here for a while, sorry.
Alex will show tonight.
Not trying to show off, we just had a lot of work done. So we have bid the Washington Street project. It was advertised on December 10th and 17th. Bids were opened the 22nd of January. We received 8 bids. The bid tabulation is attached. The lowest responsible bidder was H&G Paving for a total bid of $5,462,910.54. That was considerably lower than the engineer's estimate, which we were happy about. I should note that we did break out, and the next item will address it, we did break out the materials for the water line. We have, ONG is right now working on the Florence relocations for that project that's coming up, and as soon as they're done there, they're going to be moving here to Washington, and so we're going to have Washington both with water line relocation and ONG gas line going concurrently. Travis Small in my department has worked very diligently with ONG and has a plan to have both those going concurrently. And so we broke out the water line material because we didn't want to come here and then have to go through pre-work and all the contracting and then wait for them to then order the water line material and then wait, 60 days or 90 days for that material. So this project that you are considering right now is for everything exclusive of the water line material. And we're very excited. There's been lots of complaints about the traffic on Washington. Actually had some comments today about the signal timing and so forth. And although there will be a lot of pain involved with this project, it will be wonderful to get it done. This project also does include a 10-foot trail on the north side, which will be great because it ties to Jackson Park and will really help that area. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mike's been working on this
Not
project
being
for
one of
about
those
10
people
years.
that ever complained about this, except for the last 12
No, I've
years.
never really heard you even mention it.
Last 12 years, so I'm happy to make a motion.
No,
for-
we got a speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So any questions of Alex?
None. Thank you.
Okay, we have a speaker on 9F, Rob Martinek.
Good evening, folks. Rob Martinek, 1921 South Palm Avenue, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I am the president of the Pecan Grove Estates Neighborhood Association, which is located at the, essentially at the intersection of Olive and Washington, just behind the Walgreens. So we share in your excitement about this project and the alleviation of the traffic concerns. So thank you very much. But we do have, as a neighborhood, we're also concerned, Alex mentioned the 10-foot trail, very excited about that. We do have concerns about that, the location of that trail as it was initially planned from the intersection of Olive over to Hakey Creek. Our Pecan Grove neighborhood entrance, or southern entrance, is in that line, or in that path. But I do rise today to thank the city council and the city manager for the staff's help listening to us. Actually, Travis Small came out to one of our neighborhood meetings last year to listen to our concerns. We had another meeting with Kenny Schwab, and he's listening to our concerns, and they're able to do what they can Our primary concern is that the proximity of that sidewalk to the street, or that trail, 10-foot trail to the street is too close, and even though the law may require, because there's a curb, it be relatively, essentially adjacent, we're concerned that its proximity presents an unnecessary risk to pedestrians. Pedestrians in our day and age, not just being walkers, but of course bicyclists, skateboarders, rollerbladers, longboarders, hoverboarders, people with strollers, pet walkers, and children. Lot of folks, and if you go down river walks, you'll see a lot of these different vehicles out there. And to put those in that close proximity to the street, we're concerned. We believe that pedestrians are better served if they have visibility of the vehicles coming at them versus the vehicles having visibility of the pedestrians. Not just true for this project, but all projects. And really appreciate, we don't yet have a resolution to our issue, but we're confident that the city's listening to us, that they will make help us in the ways that they can. And just wanted to, I haven't always rose to thank the city council. Today, I'm very happy with what you guys are doing, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
If I can, Mayor, can I ask Alex to come forward and just talk a little about this? Because I'm excited to hear, the residents have come forward.
Yeah, I think the trail does, and especially in front of their neighborhood, the sidewalk currently meanders quite a bit off the curb and kind of meanders through some little rolling hills. And we've tried to mimic that with the new trail. The concern, I think, and the part we're still sticking on a little bit, and we could continue to work on this, is as you approach the commercial driveways, you get closer to Olive, I think the neighborhood would prefer if that trail were still more away from the curb. Our concern is that from a safety standpoint, when you have vehicles coming in and out of a driveway, if you have a trail that's set back off the road, people are turning into that driveway and don't see that trail. If it's right up at the curb returns or closer, they can see that trail and visually can cue that there might be people coming across it. And so I think that, did I get that correctly? Is that
is
fair?
Correct, and we disagree.
Yeah, we'll continue to work on it. But yeah, I think that's the point of disagreement. So we're going to continue to work out those bugs if we can and see if we can't make everybody happy. But
I assume final plans have not been adopted, that there's still room to try to work through this.
the plans are final, but wiggling a sidewalk a few feet here or there is something we can do in construction very easily. So we'll probably have some more conversations with them and see if we
With
can.
warning lights like we have on Main Street, work on something like that where people are walking on the path, but there's some kind of a flasher that comes on, so cars pulling in would, if they pass a certain point, would activate?
I hadn't thought of that. That's something we'll explore. So I'll commit to getting back with them and talking this issue to ground a little bit more.
Well, let's make sure that when you and Travis and your folks to keep me posted so we can keep the council posted, because I know they're, obviously, I could see them leaning forward when Rob was talking, so that's why I wanted you to come up here.
Yeah, you bet. Well, and I have the next item anyway, so I had to come back.
Well, let me make the motion then for the approval and award of the lowest possible bid to H&G Paving Contractors, Inc., and approve and authorize execution of a construction contract for the Washington Street improvements from the Garnett to Olive. Yay.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Duty?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 9G, consideration, discussion, and possible award to the lowest responsible bid Utility Supply, Inc., approving authorized execution of materials contract for Washington Street waterline relocation. Alex?
This is the water line material I mentioned in the previous item. We advertised on December 28th and January 4th. We opened bids on January 23rd. We had 5 bids received, but only or 2 of the 5 were non-responsive as they did not bid one of the items. But that said, we did get a lowest responsible bidder of Utility Supply Company with a bid of $270,774.60, which was slightly above, but not out of line of what we were expecting. And so I appreciate your approval on this so we can get that material ordered.
You made a little bit of money on the last one.
That's right. Yeah. It washed out. Yeah.
Offset. What?
I'd make a motion that we approve and award the lowest bid to Utility Supply and approve authorization, execution of materials contract for the Washington Street water line relocation from Garnett Road to Olive Avenue.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Item 9H, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to reject the previously awarded bid from Rush Truck Center for one dump truck and find the best interest of the citizens of Broken Arrow will be served by the rejection. Lee?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Lee Zerk, General Services Director. Our Streets and Stormwater Department approved the purchase, or the council approved the purchase of a dump truck awarded to Rush Truck Center on October 2nd, during the October 2nd council meeting. The bids were requested and sought to purchase this dump truck through the Logistics Division, and bids were solicited from 10 vendors, of which 6 bids were received. On Tuesday, January 15th, Rush Truck Center contacted the Purchasing Division and stated that although the truck is scheduled to be built, Peterbilt engineers notified them that the truck would not be able to be built to our specifications. That was mainly due to the frame and transmission configuration. We feel that this is a Peterbilt specific issue, as our truck specifications have largely remained unchanged over the last several years. On January 18th, Rush Truck Center formally requested to withdraw their bid as they cannot build the truck due to their engineering constraints. Staff recommends retracting the bid awarded to Rush Truck Center for the dump truck. The bid opening was in August 22nd of 2018 and is now in excess of 4 months old. Our purchasing policy states that we try to award all bids within 30 days of opening. As such, staff recommends that we resolicit the bids for the dump truck.
Okay, any questions of?
Is that delay going to pose a problem for you? I mean, you short a dump truck, or just one to kind of fill in? It's not going to hold up a project you're working on by delaying this?
No, this is a replacement truck. It's a scheduled replacement.
Okay, we do have someone signed up to speak, so any more questions?
Not right now.
Okay, we have Michael Sarton.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Sarton. I represent Premier Truck Group, and exactly everything that Lee said was true. I was just curious, why wouldn't we go ahead and award it to the next lowest bidder? We received a call from staff asking if we could go ahead and honor the prices. We did bid a 2020 current year model truck, so we can deliver on our bid. We're just curious why wouldn't we go ahead and award the bid to the next lowest vendor? Or actually, we were the lowest vendor, but why wouldn't we go to the next person in line?
Well, I can address that. It's pursuant to our purchasing manual, and the bids at this point are stale. And so they're 5 months going on 6 months. And so the process to comply with our purchasing manual is to rebid the project. And we're happy to accept, a new bid that they might have.
It just creates an issue with us because now everybody knows our bid. Our numbers are public now. So they bid last year's model, we bid this year's model, and so now we're in a situation where it's not going to be it's a no-win for us, for Premier. Just curious, if typically cities and municipalities, if they can't, if the original bidder can't deliver like this, they'll just go ahead and award it to the next lowest bidder. It's just, from what I'm hearing, it's a time constraint.
Again, it's the length of time from the bid opening, and it's to be compliant with our purchasing manual, which we've adopted, and so we need to be in compliance with that manual.
Because if I understand, it's sort of like having an employee's manual or anything else. If you don't follow it, you basically invalidate the manual in and of itself, so we would be obligated to follow it.
That's a good analogy, Vice Mayor.
Okay. So I hope that kind
Thank you
of
for your
explains
time.
that. Yeah.
Let me ask Lee, if I can, for the council, are we going to, how quickly are we going to go back out to bid for this truck?
Assuming we reject the bids today, the purchasing department and fleet management will try to get that out to bid as soon as possible. They will, of course, look over specs, make sure that everything is still good with the using department, and then get those sent out as quickly as possible.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have a motion?
Make a motion to reject the previously awarded bid from Rush Truck Center and find that the rejection is in the best interest of the citizens of Broken Arrow.
Second.
First and second discussion. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Item 10, preview ordinances, consideration, discussion, and possible preview of an ordinance for a water line easement closure for Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority. Trevor?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority owns some property up on Tiger Hill Plaza, which is Lot 2, Block 1. Currently has a very small water line easement on the property that's no longer required for public purposes and is not in use. Staff has proposed that we close that water line to facilitate future development. As such, we recommend you preview the ordinance and set it for adoption.
Make a motion, we preview the ordinance and set for adoption.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11, ordinances. 11A, consideration, discussion, possible adoption of ordinance number 3551. Trevor?
Thank you, Council. Back in 2004, Council had approved a previous zoning change for 93 acres located on Evans Road, north of Houston. And that change was from agricultural district to a single-family residential. In September of 2014, Council subsequently approved another zoning request from A1 to RS3 as well, and that property was subsequently platted as the Villas at Bel Lago. There's currently an additional 17.96 acres associated with that plat. The ordinance before you would change the zoning from agricultural district to single-family residential. Staff recommends that Council adopt ordinance number 3551 and approve the emergency clause.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 3551.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11B, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3552. Trevor?
Thank you again, Mayor. This item is for a zoning request to change some property zoned light industrial to residential multifamily and also to floodplain district. The property is located a half-mile west of Aspen Avenue, 1/4 mile north of Kenosha Street, at the north end of Elder Place. There's approximately 8.7 acres there, and this property had been platted as the Kenosha Villas. The ordinance number 3552 before you would codify the zoning change. Staff recommends that you adopt ordinance number 3552 and approve the emergency clause.
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 3552.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11C, consideration, discussion, possible adoption of ordinance number 3553. Trevor?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 11C before you is for a zoning change from agricultural to commercial heavy and also for PUD 220. This involves the Starbucks at Aspen Creek that was platted on November 9th, 2018 and contains 1.42 acres. The ordinance before you, ordinance number 3553, codifies the zoning change. Staff recommends you adopt ordinance number 3553 and approve the emergency clause.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3553.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11D, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3554. Trevor?
Yes, the item before you codifies the zoning change from agriculture district to single-family residential district for the Oak Creek South Phase 2, which is 19.23 acres. Plat that was recorded with Widener County on April 18th, 2018. Council had previously reviewed and approved BAZ 1960 to change the zoning of this property. Staff recommends that Council adopt ordinance number 3554 and approve the emergency clause.
Move to approve ordinance 3554.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for emergency clause.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11E, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3556. Trevor?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item before you codifies the zoning change from commercial general to single-family residential for the Bentley Square, which is a plat that contains 8.14 acres recorded in Tulsa County on December 15th, 2017. Council had previously reviewed and approved BAZ 1967 to change the zoning on this property. Staff recommends that council adopt ordinance number 3556 and approve the emergency clause.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3556.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11F, consideration, discussion, possible adoption of ordinance number 3557. Trevor?
Thank you. This item changes the zoning from A1 to RE for property that was previously approved by City Council on June 5th, 2017, specifically BAZ 1977. This is property that's located a quarter mile south of Kenosha Street, west of Oak Grove Road. Council staff recommends that council adopt ordinance number 3557 and approve the emergency clause.
Move to approve ordinance 3557.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 11G, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3558. Trevor?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item was previewed at the previous council meeting. This is for the Downtown Residential Overlay District, also known as the DROID District. Since council initially approved the DROID District in December of 2017, there's been approximately 7 homes that have been constructed in this district. I think during that time, there's been some items that have been noticed that need to be changed. One of them is our traditional setback requirements being removed from the DROID standards. In addition, some of the other proposed changes further define finished floor height as stem wall height requirements, and also maximum front wall width are being changed to maximum continuous wall width. As you can see, there are approximately 3 pages of detailed changes that are noted in there. Because of the need for these changes from the houses that have been constructed there, we recommend that council adopt ordinance number 3558 and approve the emergency clause to adopt these changed DROID standards.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 3558.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Move for the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Item 12, remarks and inquiries by governing body members. I just want to remind our citizens and staff that it's Cancer Prevention Month, is why I wore pink today. I think it's important that we focus on any kind of cancer screening that's possible. Having a mother who passed away when she was 48 from breast cancer that metastasized to her liver, and a wife who passed away in her 50s for breast cancer metastasized to her liver, I think it's very important that we do that advanced screening and make sure that we're cancer-free. So that's really the only comment I had. Any other comments from council members?
I was going to mention, we gave Alex a hard time for spending a lot of time up here, but what that actually translates to is we are getting things done, and things are moving along. So thanks, Alex, and your department for making sure we keep things moving. And if we're getting things done, I'll tolerate you being up here.
And especially Washington.
Yeah, especially Washington.
Anything else? Okay, item 13, remarks and inquiries by city manager.
Thank you, Mayor.
Remarks and updates, I should say.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. And council members, good evening again. I do have several things that I want to let the council know about, and also the community. So first off, and foremost, on February 16th, Saturday, is the 2019 Annual Homeowners Association Workshop. And as you know, this is an annual tradition that we have in Broken Arrow where we give the Homeowners Association opportunities to come to meet with staff and learn a great deal about how the city can assist them It's great. It's a great event that's put on by Michael Skates Department of Development Services. So I'm going to mention it this week as well as the next city council meeting, because it's always a well-attended event. I do think it's important that we continue to publicize it. In the current billing cycle, we have our Focus newsletter that goes out every month. There is an insert this month, which I would encourage all of our citizens, utility customers to read. It has the city managers delivers the state of the city, which I did back in December. As you saw from Cindy a little bit earlier in terms of where we are with budget versus actuals, we still have 6 months left to go, so I temper everyone's expectations. But obviously, we are still being very fiscally responsible with our resources. At the same time, we are exceeding expectations for the first 6 months, which I know the council is very pleased to hear. The insert also talks a little bit about some of the successes we had in 2018, and also many of the initiatives we're going to be working on in 2019 and beyond. The next thing I wanted to mention is something that I'm very excited about, that a couple of council members talked to me about it a couple of years ago, is we are working on a beautification initiative, Street and Stormwater Department specifically, and just want to share with you is our Street and Stormwater Department, working with Mr. Schwab, secured permission from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation to do some clearing and drainage work along Highway 51 between East Houston to Lynn Lane. As you know, we have a lot of the scrub type trees that have grown up that create some drainage problems, as well as some site issues as people looking at the commercial and retail areas that we have. Our goal is to beautify this corridor and improve the image of the entrance into our awesome community. Also to let the travelers know, basically welcome to Broken Arrow and where they can get off. Right now, we are in the process of removing and disposing of trees, brush, and other vegetation that's growing within the right-of-way. Primarily along the fence line or the perimeter boundaries. I want to thank Rocky and Kenny for securing permission, and this is one of those types of winter projects that I think will pay dividends in many different ways for our community, so I just want to say thank you. Next, I wanted to mention that at the leadership of Stephen Stewart, our IT director, we are now in the negotiation phase of phase 1 of our ERP, also known as Enterprise Resource Planning System. Phase 1 consists of the software replacements for finance, what I call general ledger, which is basically all of our software that we need to manage our various finances, utility billings, and HR. And I believe last Friday we put the bids on the street for phase 2, which is essentially for the police department, the CAD, computer-aided dispatch type system. This was funded. The voters approved $4 million. For the acquisition of the additional software, or the new software, I should say, for our organization. Plus, there's funds coming from the utility billings, plus the 911, and so we are within budget for this for phase 1. And so, probably, I would say sometime in April, after we finish negotiations, Stephen anticipates it'll take about 6 weeks to complete those negotiations to finalize a contract and the maintenance that goes with it. We'll be coming to the council to actually award phase 1. I'm very excited about moving forward with the replacement and upgrade of our software. Also, a couple weeks ago, I want to send out some recognitions to our staff members. The annual fire department banquet was held on the 19th. It was a great attendance. I do want to mention that there were a number of employees in the fire department that were recognized. A couple of noteworthy was Company 2 C Shift was recognized as the Company of the Year for 2018, and that's Captain Jeremy Roberts. Great guy, great leader, so I'm very proud of that selection, and just want to send a shout out to all of our firefighters, but also especially the Company of the Year. And also our Firefighter of the Year was firefighter Jill Beckman, outstanding firefighter. Definitely, I would say, a future leader in our department. She was recognized at the chamber banquet, gala last Saturday night. And I just want to, Phil Reed, he lost a lot of sleep for the last 4 or 5 months, as Chief Stewart knows, as he was organizer. And I want to thank him, as well as Chief Moore and Chief Stewart, for their leadership in putting together a great banquet. Also, I wanted to announce that Jerry Hanwinkle has been promoted to the position of Utility Systems Manager. I believe most of you know Jerry Hanwinkle, a longtime city employee. He stepped up in the interim and has demonstrated through attaining a couple additional licenses that he's ready to lead, and so I want to congratulate him, and also for Kenny and Charles Vokes for making an excellent selection. A couple other things I wanted to mention that I think are pretty exciting is that HR is spearheading what we're calling a middle management training program. As you know, the managers, the frontline managers are the ones that I rely upon, all the directors rely upon to provide great leadership to our employees day to day. They're the ones that actually are out there on the street. And so one thing we determined is we want to improve upon the leadership abilities and opportunities for those that may want to promote. And so HR is spearheading that middle management, and we have a great group. I know Travis, he's here tonight. He's in that program, so I want to call him out specifically. I'm excited about this because I think it's going to pay dividends in the future when we're able to provide those middle managers the leadership and management training they need to make sure that they're leading our employees in the best way possible, consistent with the values that we have as an organization. And then finally, two things. We have 2 new members of the police department, and I want to specifically mention our furry employees. First off, we have that is Chaos. Chaos is joining the team, and he's partnered with Officer Keach, and we're excited for Chaos to join us. And then we also have K9 Loki, and his partner is going to be Josh Zoller. So very excited, Chief Berryhill, to get these. Once they get through the training, we'll get the canines out on the street. I know that's a very, very important part of our basically our policing efforts in the community. So thank you, Chief. And then finally, something I'm very excited about, because the one thing I can't deal with is Father Time. We have a gentleman named John J.T. Darling from our Parks and Recreation Department. J.T. is a supervisor at Ray Harrell Nature Center. He's currently in the MPA Masters of Public Administration program at UCO. He applied for and won a $2,000 scholarship last week at the Winter City Managers Conference, and I just wanted to let him know that the award was named after, many of you may know, Mike Nunley, the longtime city manager in Oklahoma, who unfortunately passed away. He was in Manford for a number of years. It was decided by the CMAO board to name the scholarship after Mike because of his influence on city managers across the state. So JT won $2,000 to help him with his education. So there's a future leader for public administration, hopefully in the state of Oklahoma. So I just want to say congratulations and thank Jennifer for her help in making sure that happened. So that's all I have. I'll be glad to answer your questions if you have any.
Any questions? Okay, we do not have an executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Duty,
Here?
Thurman.
Here.
Wimpy.
Consent agenda. Any items to remove off consent agenda?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. We have no public hearings, presentations, or awards, no general authority business, and no executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. I'll call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy. Parks,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Duty,
Here?
Here.
Thurman.
Item 3 is consent agenda. 2 items. Either one of them to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. No general authority business, no executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's
Fast.
Makes you wonder.
I know, man.